Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to Full Course Yellow. If you're coming here, joining us straight from Channel 31's In Pit Lane program, welcome along. This is this is the after show. This is we just getting together on a Thursday night and having a bit of a chat. Don't if you watched last week, last week's show actually only finished about 45 minutes ago. So don't worry, we're not going to go on quite that long tonight. But we had a lot to get through last week, but we are going to sort of plough through it fairly quickly tonight because not a huge amount to talk about. Although we must talk about the fact that, of course, we're coming up this weekend, the greatest race of all, the Le Mans 24-hour race. Don't have a lot of news out of there. We've got a little bit though, so we'll certainly talk about that. And we've got some Moto GP news. I'm sure Doc will be bringing us. Will be bringing us a little bit later on. We'll have a bit of a talk about that as well. In fact, let's join the rest of the panel. Let's see who we've got on the panel tonight. We've got Chris and Peter and Richard's joining us. Doc's there as well. Congratulating Francie and Valentino on there. And wasn't that if you haven't seen it, wasn't that a great series of photos?
Certainly was, Brett. It was. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, viewers on YouTube. Everyone for tuning in from In Pit Lane. Great to have you as usual. I'm sure Brett will put up some captions with some hello in a second. But Valentino in traditional style, being the doctor, put up some photos to celebrate the announcement of himself and his wife, Francine, Francie as he puts it in his posts. Usually he abbreviates it. They're expecting to be parents for the first time, so that's why I went with the traditional. Just a plain and simple, no sarcasm, no dry-witted humour this week. Plain congratulations on the doctor himself, BR 46.
Yes, as I said, great. You can tell he's the master. He's very much the master of media. And
he's an entertainer, isn't he?
I mean, he's just the photos. If you haven't seen him, go to his Facebook page and see the photos of himself and Francie there, and the doctor is in. I mean, it's fabulous, really great photos. So congratulations to Valley and Francie for that. That's a bit of good news amongst like so much bad news that's going around at the moment, and it is nice to get a bit of good news for a change.
The positive spin of it, Brett, is that since he's retiring from professional MotoGP riding at the premium level, he should be able to have the odd occasion when his career won't be in the way of being a father, and he'll be able to meet his obligations and meet all those things that parents can do and see with their children and as they're growing up as well too.
Well, of course, he's certainly not. He's going to be obviously working behind the scenes a little bit and working with his own team in Moto GP, but he's certainly not taking too much of a back seat because he's already said that he's very keen to race at Le Mans, and certainly the rumor going around is that he will be assessed. He will be behind the wheel of a GTE car pretty quickly, probably a Ferrari and GTE. If that all goes well, then you've got to remember, as I think we said last week, Ferrari are going to debut their Hypercar sometime in 2023, I think. And as I said, you just imagine the crowd that will turn up.
The manufacturers will be bidding at his ankles. I mean, they'll be bowing.
There'll be so many people turning up at. Imagine the crowd from the Italians who would turn up, and just people from everywhere. Because that's the thing. The thing about Valentino is he's stateless. I mean, I think they said this on Midweek Motorsport just recently that he's. Yes, of course. I mean, the Italians absolutely love and adore him, but everybody loves and adores Valentino. He's just such a lovely guy, and just so full of energy. And as I said, and we saw that today with those photos that he posted. They were just wonderful photos.
We won't bang on too much about the congratulations, but see some of the photos that have emerged that have paid homage to his career, even going back as riding as a kid. But some of the wonderful photos, it goes right back to when some other people's careers, and he's always hello or smiling or posing for photos, and he's always given no matter what to anywhere in the world, to wherever he's been following along. A lot of people have paid a lot of respect to the guy, and congratulations to him. And yeah, it'll be fantastic. He surely missed on the track, but there should be no detractors from what he's given to the sport, and will continue to give to in the future as well too. So it'll be great. He can come dead last in a 4-wheel race, and people are still going to applaud his exploits.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's sort of shame that he's left it so late to retire from 2 wheels, because he probably was the sort of person who had the talent and the ability and the backing that if he'd have made the jump a little earlier, he probably could have got into Formula One and could have well been successful, and sort of followed in the footsteps of someone like Mike Hailwood and all that. Speaking of which, if you haven't heard about that, Eric Banner is going to be doing a movie based on the life of Mike Hailwood. And that'll be really interesting. So we obviously have a passionate motorsport fan, a passionate bike fan. So Eric is working on that at the moment. That's in pre-production right now.
I think he's working on the haircut at the same time, which won't be hard for Eric with his Hailwood haircut.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked.
I'll have to ask Eric about that the next time we go for a bike ride together down on Beach Road, when we're allowed to go for a bike ride on Beach Road.
When you're allowed to go for a bike ride, yes. I mean, if I ask him about the movie, it's going to be interesting. I mean,
he's quite a frequent visitor to the Coffee and Cars on a Sunday morning over there in the inner city suburbs as well too, namely around the Flemington area. He gets out over there quite regularly.
Okay, yeah.
I find it interesting that Hollywood's go-to choice for finding actors to play legendary British motor racing figures is go find an Australian. After Chris Hemsworth performance is James Hunt in the 1976 World Championship film Rush.
Yes, that's.
We must put on a good whinging Pommy accent.
Yes, I think he was very good. I thought Hemsworth was very good as James Hunt. I think it was a perfect bit perfect in both cases.
I thought Daniel Bruhl was excellent as Niki Lauda.
Niki Lauda,
brilliant.
And a very hard to play too, because I mean James Hunt is almost a caricature. I mean you can if you look a bit like him and all that, I mean you can be over, but Niki Lauda was so sort of understated and so
he's intense, isn't he? Niki was
so
intense.
Very much indeed. Now the days here as well. Paul has put up something there which I thought we would cover here tonight. The passing of Margaret Hardy. For those of you who don't know, I mean, if you're a fan, you're just like a regular sort of viewer of motorsport, you probably don't know the name Margaret Hardy, but Margaret was the sort of administrator of Formula Ford for as long as I can remember. Certainly when the program, when In Pit Lane first started, 25 years ago, Margaret was one of the people we contacted straight away, and she was just so passionate about Formula Ford and about the drivers and remained so even when she sort of officially got out of that area, that she was still very passionate about Formula Ford and everything that it sort of everything that it encompassed. And it was interesting to see that there's been a huge outpouring of emotion over Margaret's passing, and I'm glad to see people like Mark Webber and Craig Lowndes, Garth Tander, a whole bunch of races that she had a role she had played a role in their development. So our thoughts are with her husband David. She had a battle unfortunately with breast cancer and passed away yesterday. So our condolences to Margaret, to the family and friends of Margaret Hardy. She was certainly a very passionate supporter of the sport, and did put in a lot of work over a lot of years.
One of the regrets of my motorsport career so far is I've not yet had the chance to drive a Formula Ford or any sort of open wheeler in a competitive environment, and to think the amount of time that Margaret spent originally with the Light Car Club when they were the purveyors of motorsport at Sandown, the world sports car races of the 1980s, and then to go on and then become the administrator for what was, for quite a period of time, the crucible which Australians, the next generation of Australian motorsport talent was developed. It's a sad, I think, it's sad that it's happened, just as focus and the energy and the concentration on Formula Ford in terms of what happens next for that level of the sport is still in its development stage. And Brett, you mentioned the outpouring of, support and, well wishes to her family after Margaret's passing. So many of those people will be emboldened by her passing to make sure that whatever junior open wheeler racing looks like in Australia, it looks like something Margaret would have supported and been involved with and been happy to have be a part.
She was certainly, she wasn't backward in coming forward. I think that, sort of Michael Ritter's comment when he said, look, we didn't always agree, and that was one of the things, I mean, with Margaret. She was very much a traditionalist. She had a very firm view as to what Formula Ford was and how it should run. I know she had many clashes towards the end of his life with Howard Marsden, when Howard and the Ford Motor Company were talking about taking Formula Ford in another direction and trying to, basically trying to modernise it and, bring in things like, some wheels and slicks and all that. Margaret was very, very firm on the fact that that is not what Formula Ford is, and there were lots of heated discussions in terms of the way she wanted and the way she felt that Formula Ford should run, and she would have been very, very upset about the sort of what happened in the past in sort of the way that Formula Ford was sort of marginalised, but. As you say, she's already the Formula Ford already, even before her passing, were running for had the Margaret Hardy Cup, and I'm sure that will just be even more important now. So, as I said, to the family, to her husband David, and all the family and many friends of Margaret Hardy, our condolences. Good. We got a few people tuning in again. We got Gemini 355. Got a great show last week. As I said, a long show last week, but we got that Tony sort of joining us again as well. Good day, Tony. How are you?
I think the men and women's marathon in the Olympics was a faster event than what we did put together.
Yeah,
I think he might have been watching another channel.
Yeah.
Must have been the puppet. Someone doing the puppet series of FCY.
So we've got boxers joining us again. Like the music credit at the end of the yes, it was wonderful music, wasn't it? It was beautiful music. Music direct from Le Mans. I mean, and didn't some of those the Glickenhaus and. In particular, and the Corvettes and all that sounds terrific.
Oh, good segue. Good segue. There you go. Shall we indulge then, Brett?
In just a moment, we'll just say there. Yes, I don't know. I'm hearing that as well. I don't know who's got the sniffles. Who needs the COVID test?
Probably me.
Probably that. Oh yes,
probably me.
There we go. Okay.
Yes, probably me.
Yes, okay. So you've been tested yet, Richard?
Yes. It's cold up here.
Haven't you got that wood fire of yours absolutely banging away?
Every other week I have them in the other room. I've moved back into the office, and it's cold in here.
Okay.
So what are you saying that your wood fire's dealing with a backlog, is it?
Oh.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, well let's talk about briefly about this weekend, the Le Mans 24-hour race. We've had a couple of practice sessions and a qualifying session later on in the morning at about I think it's about 3 or 4 o'clock. We will get the hyperpole or hippopole, as the French will say.
Hippopole. Oh, hippopotamuses, do they over there? Hippopotamuses?
It's like when you go there and it's they give you the password for the Wi-Fi. I love that. It's like, hello, you would like to
only after you spend 150 euros for the SEO Media Center.
Well, they wouldn't like my eye contact, mate, because I'm actually going through some of the results now. So it's a big congrats to Mr. Buemi, Hartley, and Nakajima setting the pace.
Yeah, Toyota have certainly set the early pace. The thing is, the good news is that amongst the hypercars, there's only a few of them there. But the good news is that they've actually been pretty close. Toyota have thrown the sandbag out that they found the sandbag that was there during the test, and they've thrown that out now. So they've got down into the 26s. But,
3 minutes 29.
International not surprise face.
And the Glickenhaus is in within 0.4 of a second of them, of the two Gazoos.
Yeah, that's the good news. Is the Glickenhaus seems to be very at this stage seems to be very, very competitive, and the Alpine as well, which of course is last year's Rebellion. That's
Alpine's another 0.6 off.
Yeah, LMP1. So that's a really good. Looks to be a really good and a really interesting fight there. The other thing that's interesting is the fact that because the Premier class have been slowed down, as has been pointed out, if they have anything goes wrong, I mean the LMP1 cars were just so much faster than everything else that they were in a position that even if they lost 10, 15 laps, providing it wasn't too late in the race, they could get those laps back again. They're not going to be able to do that this year. That's just not going to happen. If the Toyotas and the Glickenhaus and all, if those cars have problems, an LMP2 car could end up winning Le Mans outright. And I'm sure the ACO wouldn't be too thrilled about that. But then, of course, that brings in the possibility of Australia's own James Allen coming in. His team will be in Hyperpole. Will Stevens put that car into the fastest 8, so he will run in Hyperpole later in the night. So
the Panis Racing is at 23rd at the moment.
Yeah, so he will be in Hyperpole, and of course Ryan Briscoe is running in one of the Glickenhaus, and then in GTE we've got our guest from last week's show, from last week's In Pit Lane, Scott Andrews, running in the Ferrari, in the Kessel Racing Ferrari, the car guy. Yellow Ferrari, and also Matty Campbell running in the Porsche
46.
And John Corbett running in GTE AM as well. So five Australians there, and of course, sort of honorary Australian. We'll call him because he was a Cup champion. No, with Jackson Evans, who's racing with Matt Campbell.
Because Ryan's New Zealand as well too. So
no, Ryan's
he's Australian-ish.
He's Australian-ish. He's probably more sort of American now. In fact, I think he is an American citizen now, but he still races he still is racing under the Australian an Australian banner. So so we might wake up. The good thing about this year is they've moved the race back to its traditional starting time, which was 4 o'clock, which means it will start sort of basically midnight on Sunday morning and go through to midnight on Monday morning. So it's a nice little. Basically, you can just write off all of Sunday completely. Just settle in and
unless you're working,
have a full day. Unless you're working. Well, if you're working, just remember that you can listen via Radio Le Mans, via the TuneIn app or via their website, free of charge. You can listen to you can keep up to date with all that's happening at the Circuit de la Sarthe via our friends at Radio Le Mans. So that's the way to keep up. That's the way to keep up there, but it is on TuneIn Radio, and I've done that in the past. I've got a TuneIn on the phone. I just whack it through the Bluetooth if I'm out driving, and listen to the race if I do have to take a break away for any particular reason. But let's face it, we're locked down anyway. So
some of the greatest commentators in the world on rotation for 24 hours, and I think that there probably will be some like last year, hopefully. Some in-car shots in some of the nighttime driving from, I think Toyota Gazoo had a couple of in-car shots that you could watch through YouTube live.
There are some YouTube stuff coming up there. I think both Toyota Gazoo, also Glickenhaus, they're going to have a live stream of their in-car camera. I believe Porsche will probably have a feed. So you won't be able to see. The only way you can see the race now, as far as we're aware, is via the WEC app, and I sort of signed up to that today. It's around $16 or $17, I think, sort of it's €9.99, so you can set that up and you can watch the race live via their app, and it's casted using Chromecast or Apple TV onto your television and watch it that way. And the commentary this year is pretty good. We talked about Radio Le Mans, but the commentary team this year for the WEC app for the World feed is very, very good as well. Not just Graham Goodwood and Alan McNish, but Oliver Gavin is joining them as well. And there's a few other high profile, experienced people who will be bringing you that as well, and they're actually I believe they are at the track, whereas unfortunately the Radio Le Mans team, the Radio Show Limited team, are basically doing it, from other locations, from the Haggerty Radio Broadcast Centre, I think they're calling it, but they do an amazing job of that. I mean, you really would have no idea listening to sort of IMSA radio. You would swear that everybody was at the track. I have no idea how they pull that off as smoothly as they do. They do a great job. Do a great job with that. So that's Le Mans coming up. Also coming up on if you're not going to watch the Le Mans 24-hour race itself, I'll let you know that keep an eye on the In Pit Lane webpage, because we will have feeds to the Road to Le Mans Cup. The Le Mans Cup, that's the Road to Le Mans. That will be on our page. Also, the Masters, the historic category there, that will be live streamed as well, and we will have the link for that on our website as well. So basically, anything we find, that we can legally put up there, we will put up there. So if you're wondering where to go and how to find different feeds from Le Mans, head to the In Pit Lane webpage, and we will there will be links and embeds there, so you can have a look at it. So apart from that, we've had a few. Unfortunately, announced today the 6 hour, the Phillip Island 6 hour. Another one bites the dust. Couple of people have disappeared over the couple of meetings. Have disappeared over with Sandown ARG's meeting, the ARG meeting, TCR, and that's gone. And also today it was announced that the 6 hour relay race at Phillip Island has officially been cancelled as well. So another one bites the dust. Very, very difficult times that we live in.
AMRS at Winton this weekend, that's gone.
That has gone as well too. Yeah.
Basically, anything that was going is gone. Everything.
Yeah, well, I believe Heathcote Park is still going to run on the weekend.
Because they're regional.
Yeah, as long as if you're from outside the metro area, if you're coming from, and that's the good thing. I mean, in those areas, places like Shepparton and around sort of Benalla and all those sort of areas, there's lots of drag racing people around.
Well, I've got a massive school sports carnival in Warragul tomorrow, so I'm off to that. So there is still sport going on, just not much of the massively crowd organised stuff.
So how
come down and say hello?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, because you can do that, can't you? Yeah,
yes. I come and annoy him.
You can annoy me. You can annoy me, and you can check out my work permit. So I'm legit as well too. So I do have a work permit for it. So
hands on the car.
Of course,
yes, yes. I am not going anywhere near a playground.
You never want to say
Aren't you legally not allowed to go anywhere near a playground?
That is
if you type it on the internet, he's definitely not allowed to go there.
That's part of my bail conditions, yes.
Yes, I've got the working with children. As I was saying before we came on, I was saying that I was out and about. I was out and about today, like going for my walk, and I was stopped twice by the local constabulary, saying why aren't you wearing them? What are you doing out and about, and checking on things. And there was nobody around anywhere, and it was just me just wandering around and I walked around, and there's a huge playground. Sort of halfway along my walk, it's about 6-7K walk. About halfway point, there is this really huge playground. there must have been 50 or 60 people in there. Yeah, I mean, and about a dozen of them were kids. The rest of them were all parents, all sitting together, basically having a picnic. So,
I was going to say, you could have gone after their picnic rug up at the back of the SUV, because I think I won't name the road you live down there. I think I got done by the speed camera between 70 and 80 down that road of yours this week. I wasn't very happy about it. Yes, that one that sits on the left-hand side there, about halfway down the road, I think clocked me within 10 Ks. Very happy. So keep an eye out for that, everyone else out there. There's still the speed cameras are still operating.
Well, that's it. And also,
we'll need to make plenty of money soon. Oh, the 24-hour event Thunderdome's been cancelled, according to...
Surprise.
I think it's going to be one of those things that we're just going to lose so much in terms of what's coming up. I think basically we've got to look at probably sort of next year, and like hopefully.
They said in New South Wales that they're not going to. They'd be lucky to go past outside 5Ks by Christmas.
Yeah,
which brings me to a point.
Yes,
which we were discussing. I noticed that the Bathurst has wrestled the deck chair away from Challenge Bathurst to be able to sit on the deck chair on the Titanic, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that was always inevitable. I mean, they were always going to get their way in that thing. But I think they've got to be flexible. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, like it's all right for Challenge Bathurst to say, well, we had a contract and we have a buffer zone around our event, and that's okay in regular times and normal times, but these are not normal times. And as I said last week, the worry, or the week before, the worry that I've got about all of these meetings being crammed into the last few months, and that's why the 6 hour was cancelled, because they just said we simply cannot get another date at Phillip Island because they are booked out solidly for the rest of this year. There is basically something happening at Phillip Island. I believe there's pretty much the same thing is happening at Sandown, at Winton, and of course you're going to have Bathurst, Bathurst 1000, Challenge Bathurst, and the Bathurst International all close together. The grand final of the supercars up in Sydney, if all these things happen. I mean, where are they getting the damn marshals and the volunteers for this?
Everyone's booking in because they know it's going to be not even going to happen in the first place. But the best chance of everything at the moment is WA is going to get the AFL Grand Final over at Optus Stadium. That's about the best chance anyone's got at the moment. Yeah,
well, that's as Paul's saying. Where will the 1,000 be held this year? I mean, at the moment, I wonder, a 1,000k race around Barbagallo?
Yeah, around the paperclip. Yeah, why not? Yeah, look, everyone
about Taylor Bend for that one.
That's it. I actually would have said until they had cases there this week, you probably could go over and have the Bathurst 1000 in New Zealand. Like, why not? There's a Trans-Tasman bubble. You could have floated everything over.
Not anymore, there isn't.
They've probably, that's what I'm saying. They've probably still got some Virgin 747s that have got some old rusty bits of metal that they used to stack the cars up onto and put them into the cargo bay. They could just ship everything over the Tassie, over the Trans-Tasman.
I think what Stuart was saying, and hello to Stuart. Stuart has once again joined us fashionably late, as is per tradition. And I think what you said there, I think Tail and Bend would be at the moment
probably the only place you can go.
Probably the safest bet if they can get it. The interesting thing is that it is
for 1,000.
We've got this,
after Bathurst, which is the longest course in Australia? Because you want the most track distance to run a 1,000-kilometre race.
Yeah, so it's going to be Tail and Bend. Yeah, Tail and Bend is longer than Bathurst. If they use the endurance track, Tail and Bend is longer than Bathurst, so they could possibly use that.
Yeah, Tail and Bend's over 7 Ks, but wasn't the old Bryant Hill track longer than Bathurst as well too, out there in Gippsland in Victoria? I think the old track was originally too. I'll have to look that up, but on recollection it was the old track was longer than Bathurst.
Proposed the last time that was
used. Circuit longer than that. No, the Bryant Park Hill one was never that long.
No, it wasn't closed, but it's been closed a long time, but there was a track out there that was longer because I remember reading about it a long time ago.
Well, you want to stick to the tradition of the 161 laps, just as Sandown was for a 500 and Bathurst was. So if Tailem Bend is close and you can get the same number of laps, the fans would probably go for it.
The problem is that
why am I full screen all of a sudden?
Oh, you probably tapped the wrong button. Someone wants to see a big Photoshop of you.
It's magic, Stuart. It's television magic. I mean,
hey, it was better than when you first got on. You were Darth Vader. I thought we were in a Star Wars movie because you're usually saying, "Doc, turn the lights on." But it was you when you jumped on and start. I almost couldn't refrain myself from saying,
"It was me doing the heavy breathing."
As long as I'm not blowing everybody's ears at home with the microphone because I've swapped back my regular.
No. Richard's doing a great job with his tissues tonight. Going up.
Yes. COVID.
Wipe the lens down after.
Glen 20.
Everybody at home, just make sure you wipe your, so just in case.
Wipe the screen, yes.
Richard's
could be sneeze marks everywhere.
Paul saying, run the 1,000 on the international track at Calder. That'd sort.
Remember, we were sitting there having lunch up there doing Formula SAE. What's Winton's long track again too?
Ooh. Winton's not that
long.
No,
not as long.
How
double
long is
track.
It? About 2.5, 3Ks?
No, the double track.
Winton's 3K.
3K, yeah.
3K for the double long track. Okay.
But the long track at Calder doesn't sort the men from the boys. It sorts the chassis from those that broke.
From the stones and the grass.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know how.
And the tumbleweeds. Sorry, stones and the tumbleweeds. Yeah. You could have the Winton 2000. That's what I was trying to refer to before. Winton
you used to have the Winton 300. I mean, they could. It doesn't have to be 1,000.
2000. Anyway.
There, so
we digress.
Winton a win 500.
You're breaking up there badly, Dave.
Yeah, and you're frozen. So you're in the movie Disney Frozen as well.
He's there. He's going to burst into song like a mermaid or something or whatever.
I'd like to see that.
He could wear.
I'm just imagining the appropriate size shells for the bikini for the costume.
Don't even go there, but he did.
He's moving again. I was going to say, give him a chance to defend himself, but at least he's not. Oh boy.
You got that, yeah. That's interesting. That if Bathurst does go ahead, Alex Premer will be running there because he has been granted special dispensation to come into the country to race at Bathurst. That seems totally out of there. Somebody must know somebody somewhere.
It's so hard to quarantine at Byron Bay. It really is up there.
Consider the litany of people who got exemptions to enter Australia in the last couple of months. Who was that conservative journalist, commentator from the UK who was being brought in allegedly for someone's celebrity program, who decided to basically poo-poo lockdown and all the health orders in quarantine, and then got marched to the sent back.
Yeah, I thought that first all jokes aside, Alan Jones is Australian.
I'm fairly certain Premier will clear it with ease.
Yeah, they also, I think Caitlyn Jenner also ended up for the same damn program for Celebrity Big Brother or something.
I think the way to integrate it would be is to contact New South Wales government. They're in that disarray at the moment. They'll let anyone in if you're willing to pay them a few dollars because they have got a few more concerns on their plate. So they'll give you anywhere, and they'll let you go to Byron Bay as well too, and buy real estate here if you want to.
Yes, I believe there's been a big rush on crystals up at Byron Bay because of the threat of COVID up there. So
crystals.
Well, just imagine how short Byron Bay can be for crystals once Pete Evans gets his own commune up and running.
Oh, what? Jeez, I'm out of here. I'm going. That's it. I'm leaving the country.
Yes, Pete Evans. I mean, as I said, he's. I wouldn't mind. He's not even a good chef. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, his stuff is pretty. He makes George Christensen actually believable. But anyway, that's just another.
Well, speaking of food and trying to get us back on a motorsport, should we discuss which track had the best toasted sandwiches in Australia out of all the ones?
Yeah, let's get on to something about motorsports, something related.
I've said it a million times. The best food that I've ever had at a racetrack in Australia is the ham and the bacon and egg rolls at Phillip Island. They are.
And a
I'd
close
change it to
second
the
is
toasted sandwiches, but yeah.
close second is the bacon egg rolls, also at the soccer club up the top of the hill at Bathurst as well too on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, they're very good. The food is pretty good, Dave.
Now I hear very good reports, but I'll admit I haven't had a chance to visit the kiosk run by the Warwick District Sporting Car Club at Morgan Park Raceway outside of Warwick.
Okay.
But reports from our industry colleagues indicate that the bacon and egg rolls and also the lamingtons at the Warwick and District Sporting Car Club kiosk at Morgan Park are excellent. Now, I was hoping to maybe head up there in October for the Improved Production Nationals, and I was going to head there in June for the Shannon's Nationals, then head there in August for the Shannon's Nationals, and now none of those are happening.
You can zoom yourself there. That's about it.
The steak sandwiches at Hidden Valley were really good as well. Both of them. There was the van in the pits in the paddock area was really good, and the one I had over in the spectator area the next night was fabulous. All I ate at Darwin was steak. I mean, I had steak at the pub, I had steak at the track, I had steak for breakfast at Matt's place. So yeah, it was basically pretty much 3 days of steak.
And I usually I have to put this one down Phillip Island as well too, and I would never live off grass. I can't do it. But remember, the veggie burgers are absolutely brilliant down there for the specialist barbecue. They're on for the volunteers.
They're really good for
those veggie burgers.
Yeah.
They are
They're
to
really
die
good.
for.
Brett Sellers, 100% Bathurst Red Top Soccer.
I'll see your veggie burgers, and I'll raise you a sausage done by Pete, Andy, and Cage at the Pyark official shed on a Saturday at an event down at Phillip Island.
Oh, well, I'm allowed to go to that too. So yeah, we're all right. We'll have a
and of course that's where you have to get your sausages in on a Saturday because there's no time to go to Bunnings.
Okay, we'll have a snag off. I don't believe I just said that. We'll get our snags out for.
We've got another vote from Paul, for another vote from Morgan Park.
Thanks, Knackers.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me that they're cheaper than Phillip. They have jacked the price up considerably at Phillip Island. Russell is saying that borderline at Speedway at Mount Gambier. Best steak sandwiches.
I haven't been there in ages, but it was beautiful out there. That place is amazing.
What soup was it? The pumpkin soup or the celery or? So it must have been.
I haven't had the soup.
Turkey drumstick.
Turkey drumstick. That's.
Be careful when we go around that one.
It's interesting that Brett mentions Indy there. Now, since I was fashionably late because I had to find fashion, did you happen to discuss what I mentioned in our pre-production chat online about the schmozzles and the amateur hour at the Indianapolis race on the weekend?
Yeah,
if only there was another major international series that they could talk to about how to set up, temporary curbing that would handle being pummeled by 1.5 tons of race car over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But that knowledge doesn't exist anywhere else in the racing world.
It was complete amateur hour, but that's actually not the problem. The curbing was not the problem.
Oh.
The curbing is outside of the white lines that mark the edge of a racetrack. Now, everybody knows that if you're outside the white lines, you're out of bounds.
Track limit, here's a great argument.
If you are shorting the corner, you are cheating.
Oh, we'll boil the kettle.
You're cheating. If it was a concrete wall there, nobody would short the corner. But instead, and I'm going to use some official NASCAR footage.
You go for
that. Be very careful.
Have a look. We can see. Okay, I'll do it by the little controls.
Yeah, good idea.
I had to do a last minute edit of tonight's show on YouTube because we got flagged for the NASCAR footage.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, there you go. Just look at that still frame of the second car in line. That second car is no longer on the racetrack. No longer on the racetrack.
He's still got two wheels
on
on
the white line. Still on the racetrack.
If we keep, there's more further down the line. There's cars that actually aim straight over the rumble strip. They do not even attempt to make the corner. I'm sorry, but if you damage your race car when you're off the track, it's your own damn fault. It was
2 weeks in a row. I agree with
you.
you totally. I will not going to comment any further, except I agree totally 100% with you. 100% stay within the white lines and the track. Yes, a little bit of ripple strips, like with stuff like that, but you are, when you've got more than 50% off a car over that track, over that white line, you've got a GPS underneath it. You can
get Indy cars through there.
I agree with Nicholas.
Formula One cars through there.
I know.
Without taking the suspension off.
They won't get it. Richard gets it. Gets it. But yeah, it's like, sorry, can we have hands up for all those people who've driven touring cars before?
Well, it's not quite a touring car; it's a Hyundai.
Hang on. Does it have four wheels? Or does it come with four seats? Richard, it's a touring car.
Yes.
The Muppet Show.
If I put a concrete wall in that corner, you would go around it the same as you would.
If the car can get over the ripple without falling off, I'll do it.
So we want to keep having the argument. Let's just put concrete walls right at the edge of every track limit. That's a great idea. Oh no! Wait a second. IndyCar tried that at Nashville 2 weeks ago, and that didn't work either.
Yes.
Entertainment wise,
it's good for the spectators.
If you know you're going to break.
The Music City half a canoe race.
If they don't short circuit the track, they don't damage their cars on the rumble strip. That's it in a nutshell.
What, you reckon they should cut out the electrical system on it? That sounds like, there you go. Look, I agree with you.
I think there's something to what Stuart said. I think there's too much. I mean, we've seen it at Le Mans this week. I mean, Eduardo Freitas, the clerk, of course, for
I love hearing him on race control radio.
Oh, he's so good. He's so calm.
I've worked with Eduardo. I was in race control. I was in race control working the medical response for the Asian Le Mans series at the start of 2020. Remember back when we could go and do things at the start of 2020? Remember that?
Oh, yes.
And you can hear Eduardo Freitas. Time penalty, car 46, exceeding track limit.
Hey, who's that? That sounds like Gru off the movie.
No, Gru sound like this. No, you have exceeded track limit. No, you don't be
At which point, I need a banana to hold up, and only the fans of the movie will actually get that.
That's nice one. Nice one, Stilly. Gru from the Despicable Me. That's better.
Yes, I'm just wondering how much more race control radio would we listen to if we had, Michael Massey or Eduardo Freitas, translated as other characters from movies?
Yes, Paul, it does.
Yeah. I'm just reading Knacker's comment at the bottom here. You've been going across, indulging in the white lines a little bit too much, Richard.
I'm betting that if you had
maybe I don't remember.
Put that $50 bill down. Put that pineapple down.
Wrong powder. But I'm betting if we had somebody doing a voice that was like Charlize Theron, everybody would behave.
I don't remember.
Charlize Theron.
I think
Kate Beckinsale myself. She'd be anyway. Anyway.
But only in black leather.
Only in Underworld. Yep.
I would.
This is getting
I will see all your offers. I will raise you, Alan Rickman, and that's a full house. Thank you.
I'll give you a motorsport or a Carry-On Moss on a Ducati in, as everyone knows, what I've got sitting here, the Carry-On Moss and a Ducati in the movie Matrix Revolutions. That's pretty hot.
Well, I'm still thinking having Alan Rickman on the FIA race control radio. Yes, Mr. Hamilton, you have received a penalty.
No. You've gone the wrong character. You've gone straight to Severus Snape. You need to be thinking Die Hard when you're thinking Alan Rickman.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking Hans. Yeah.
Who played the big eagle in the Muppets? And his voice as well, though, too, was
Well, the eagle in the Muppets was
Mark,
a rip-off of
talk about
multiple
the
news
factory.
in the US.
Or who could do Beaker? The Swedish chef.
As far as yes, so
Yeah.
we've talked about.
You guys
I'm
are
trying.
cordial.
Hey, Mark, I'm trying not to talk about food because I haven't had any, and I'm starving at the moment. Yeah, let's get back to young Australians racing overseas. Well, we have talked about the young Australians racing at Le Mans.
We did. That whole show was
Probably a
fun.
good idea because there's there's no young Australians racing in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, love
Well,
it.
at the moment,
Not even old ones.
No.
Yeah, we never talk about Oscar Piastri. We never talk about Remy Gardner. We never talked about Scott Andrews. We've never talked about
Remy.
No, we've never
Remy
heard of them. Never mentioned them at all.
Remy avoided the crash in the Moto 2 race on the weekend and recovered for a 7th. So I did pay attention. So so I'm in contradiction to everyone else saying that we don't, and still he's right. We did watch. Well done, Remy, for getting a 7th still and still at the top end of the championship.
I was surprised that was and it shows how consistent he's been. That was his worst result for the year. I mean, he's had a really, really good run. I mean, he's definitely the go. The interesting thing was, who his teammate now and who'll be his teammate next year. Ralph Fernandez was the one who ended up winning that particular race and has now closed the gap in the championship to Remy. That was good. That was good news.
A good result. And Wayne's enjoying himself too. I just saw a Twitter post in the last couple of days. He's out while Remy's getting 7th or as his best result in a crashed first lap of the Moto 2. His dad's out on a nice grand touring, doing the countryside on bike tours over there in whatever country he's at as well too. Probably supplied by the manufacturer. So lap it up, Wayne. Have some fun over there while you can, because we can't. Anyway.
Yeah. Also on Moto GP. Well, that was a race that did happen on the weekend.
Brad Binder created his own Steve Bradbury.
Yeah. Have you seen a more insane finish to a race than that? The only thing I can think of that is close to, particularly on 4 wheels, was the Bathurst 12 Hour in about 2012 when they had that huge downpour towards the end of the race, and Shane Van Gisbergen sort of put on a bit of a masterclass. But a big gamble by Brad Binder. But he probably thought, I've got nothing to lose. I'm in front. I'm just gonna hold on and keep the fingers crossed and do my best to stay upright. Literally put his skates on, and what a fortuitous win. But I mean, it was just insane. I mean, and Jack Miller sort of he probably made the right call, but probably just one lap.
He had bike issues. That's why he went in a little bit when he did go in. When he did, I was reading an article this afternoon. So he had some issues with the bike, and he decided to call it early on that one. Just another tidbit of news. A surprise. The go-to man, Cal Crutchlow, is filling in for Viñales for the time being as well, though, too. So at least one race at this stage. And speaking of, if you have a look at our Discord, sign up for our Discord and be nice to Brett, and he'll let you on board for a few cents. Cal will be filling in for obviously for Viñales for the time being, and Maverick Viñales has officially signed this week with Aprilia for next year in 2022.
Yes, it was with the
I should just
Spargo.
interrupt for the point. I've just tossed the official Moto GP highlights link into the chat. So if anyone wants to copy that and go looking for it, there it is.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you very much appreciated.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
Excellent.
It was a crazy race. There was the most entertaining, and got there. But anyway, look, I think that's as I said, I think we're just about it. So, anybody got any last minute news before we head off? Because I mean, and Pete, anything happening? Hang on, Pete, anything happening at all in Formula One?
No, not really.
No, it's been they're all on holidays. They're all having a good time. So
They're all going to watch Le Mans 24 Hours this weekend. That's what they'll all be doing, I bet.
Yep. Christian Mansell and Bart Horston racing in the British Formula 3 Championship. Not the British Formula 3 Championship anymore.
No, because it's not Formula 3. It's not real Formula 3 like Formula 3 used to know. It's Formula 3 that used to be Formula 4 that's F4 but with a different engine, so they call it F3.
Yeah, well,
I
they don't call
it.
it F3 now because the FIA stopped them from. What are they calling it? Mark might know. What are they calling it now? They've changed to something like
It's something powered by Ford EcoBoost.
Yeah, so
which is probably what goes in what formerly known as the laser, which is now a Focus anyway.
Yeah, and as we see, the Japanese
Still he's thinking, look at you can see the brain ticking over. I'm only just staring.
The whole Formula 3 situation the last sort of 5 or 6 years has been, incredibly transformative because there's what most of us would consider Formula 3, which is open chassis, open engine, but limited to 2-litre, normally aspirated engine. And now there's like international Formula 3, and then there's Formula Regional Formula 3, then there's Classic Formula 3,
here we go.
and then there's British F3, it's not an F3.
Mark reckons you're wrong.
Brett, you're just punching the buttons tonight, aren't you? You're watching. Here we go. Mad Cow versus Dave. Let's go. Let's have a beast off. Let's have an animal off.
Before
all I would suggest is refer to Professor Wikipedia. They've got all the answers.
Yeah, let's just refer back to one of Mark's earlier comments. No, it's never been a motorsport show. The car racing just happens to be there.
Oh, actually, no, I do have something motorsport related.
Doing the facts.
Yeah. And I like to ask Stuart this again because it is motorsport related and keep it clean. The red line drag, so the Hellcat, I saw you coming up today as well too. Could you please explain that one?
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
You mean the
incidentally, hang on a second before you get there. GB3 is what they're calling. They've got to call it now. Yes, they've got to call it GB3. That's what I was.
Great Britain.
That's what they've. That's what.
I'm just wondering what happened to version 2 of Great Britain. Was that the sequel that nobody talks about, like Starship Troopers?
Like History of the World Part 1.
Yes.
Mel Brooks. There was never a 2. There was never a 2. Getting back to the Hellcat, please, Stuart.
As in the live stream that came out of Woodward Avenue.
Yes.
Is that what we're referring to?
Yes, please.
It was a schmozzles. It was an absolute schmozzles. They tried to do too much through too small a pipe, and guess what? Just like laminar flow causes an exhaust to slow down, if you try to push too much data through too small a connection, it don't work. So the stream was not pretty to watch. But the other little bit in there was they had a celebrity drag racing event where people were given the sort of pre-production cars that would otherwise have to go through the crusher. And you end up with all the boys built cars where they added a bigger supercharger, or they added nitrous, or they added 2 turbochargers on top of the supercharger. And meanwhile, from YouTube, young Alex Taylor, she went and built herself a car where she moved the engine back 4 inches and put a 4-link in it, and was the only one who got traction. So actually creamed the field because they had power where she was already halfway down the track and they were still spinning the wheels.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Maybe
was
we'll do that.
an interesting watch.
Yeah, I noticed
What-
they've re-uploaded that. They obviously recorded it.
Yeah,
recorded
it's
on
on
location
Dodgers on Dodgers YouTube. I don't know if it's on the Motor Trend YouTube.
Yeah, it's back up. It's back up there now. I was watching a little bit before. 'Cause
And I
remember-
should point out, if you're in Australia and you're trying to watch Motor Trend on demand, you got Buckley's because it's geo-blocked by Foxtel. And I'm not going to be nice about it, and I'm not going to cut corners. So use the Tor browser, and you can still access Motor Trend's website.
Good stuff. Well done. Thank you, Stuart.
I've got one out of left field, which I picked up on Speed Cafe, about a CEO of Spa killing his wife. And
no. She was the CEO of.
No.
Yeah. I didn't get the whole thing because got called away in the middle of reading it. That was really bizarre.
And this is on the episode of Diagnosis Full Course Yellow.
Yeah, it was a very sad situation. The news came out on the weekend that, as they call it, a crime of passion, as it were. Apparently, her husband came and found her
Allegedly.
being very
What the
friendly
heck?
with a friend of
What
hers.
the heck?
And,
Okay,
Yeah,
we're
basically,
after 9 o'clock, right? Okay, we're almost at 10:30. You come home and find that situation, join in.
insensitive, but
Get your own bowl and throw the keys in it.
Too soon, mate.
Girl on girl action. Yeah, great.
You could have had a life-altering experience instead of having a life-ending
listen there.
experience.
And with that,
That's a life-altering experience anyway.
Could we be any less sensitive?
Yes.
Waiter, I need a stronger drink, please.
Yeah, so on that note, I think it's probably time to wrap things up here, because we don't want to we don't want to make another telethon like it was last week. Now, by the way, next week on In Pit Lane, we're going to be talking Stadium Super Trucks. Where somebody from Stadium Super Trucks is going to join us. We're going to find out
Jumpy
about,
trucks, thank you. Jumpy trucks.
Jumpy trucks.
Are
Whatever
the,
we call them.
jumpy trucks still allowed to come to
Are
Australia?
they sponsored by Tonka?
Yes, yeah.
Well, we
They
have
never
them in
left.
Australia now, and they never left, and somebody from Nathan from Stadium Super Trucks, Nathan Crazier, is going to join us on next week's edition of In Pit Lane. We're going to have a chat about Stadium Super Trucks, what they are, where they came from, how they're what they're planning for the future. I mean,
And
as
who
much
their
as
sponsor of plastic is, because they go through a lot of body work.
they go through a lot of body panels. There we've got from Mac.
Well, it'll be great to see the front of Nathan Kaiser's head, because the last couple of times I've spent with him, I've only seen the back of his head because I sit 2 rows behind him in race control.
Oh, there you go. Here we go. Magcal's back on board. Write a reply, David, but also give him the opportunity next time around.
Yeah, that is. I've seen that the British. I'll still call it British F3, but yeah, GB3 has been on there. Has been live streamed on the YouTube channel there with the BRDC.
And to take a point, Mad Cow Mark actually called it British F3 initially.
Well, it was only in the last week or so that this was literally. I think they had to change it. It was sort of halfway through, because it was around about a week ago, and it was like. They changed the listing in YouTube. It was British Formula 3 channel. Then suddenly it became GB3 because the FIA jumped up and down and said non. So that was and that.
They must have finally got the fax machine working.
They got the fax machine working. Well, they probably had to borrow it back from them.
Oh,
I will tell you now, if you have any dealings, we've got the news down there regarding the Macau Grand Prix, and unfortunately that the GT3 World Cup and the Formula 3 race at Macau not happening for obvious reasons as well. But if you've had any dealings at all with the Macau Grand Prix organising committee, they do everything by fax, and it doesn't matter. You can actually be there at the track, and they will still say, no, you must fax that. It's like, no, I'm standing here. No, you must fax that. But I'm standing here, I can hand it to you. No, you must fax that.
I think they've got some trust issues.
That's right. Just have the fax link ready on your phone. Just do it. Yep.
So they love a fax over there. Okay, everybody. So thanks, Mark, and as I said, have a look at the In-Pit Lane website over the weekend, and I will hopefully get some links up there. Apart from Le Mans, from the main race itself, there are, if you're not going to be using the web app, or if you can't find it through other rather more dubious means, there are some of the action, some of the support category action will be seen on the YouTube channels, and we'll put that up there. But as most people will be, as Box is doing, looking forward to Sunday morning croissants. Listening to Radio Le Mans, yes,
with ham and cheese as well too.
I might just have to make an essential trip to La Croissance on Toorak Road in Hartwell now.
Your favourite?
Some essential croissant.
Yeah, I was going to say your favourite part of your favourite croissant there. There'll be a variety on the menu, wouldn't there be, Silly?
Well, my tradition.
I am very partial to their jambon et béchamel. Basically, a very fancy ham and cheese, but it is fantastic.
Mozzarella.
Bechamel.
My Le Mans white sauce. My Le Mans culinary thing is from Le Mans. You can't get it at Le Mans anymore, unfortunately. They got rid of was the Cape de Grand Marnier, and that's I already have the Grand Marnier, and yes, at some stage over the weekend, just for old time's sake, and to remember the good times at Le Mans over the years, a Cape de Grand Marnier will actually.
You do realise that we're now ending the show talking about food again.
Food again, yes. That's because I am starving.
I already had dinner, so I'm not worried.
Richie, time to warm the cup. Is that the chef behind you? Time to warm the chef up and turn the lights on, Richie.
Okay then.
Okay, so let's be out of that now. There we are. We've just gone over the hour, so I think that's a good point to say goodbye, and we'll see you all next week for another Full Course Yellow straight after In Pit Lane. And as I said, we'll be talking. We'll have all the news from Le Mans, and we'll also have the details of Formula of the Stadium Super Trucks and a whole bunch more coming up. We have in fact signed for a new series. We just yesterday, in fact, signed a new series for the rest of the year on Channel 31. So because we're hanging out to get back in the studio. That's the only reason why. I mean, so we're just keeping our fingers crossed to get back in the damn studio.
We want to be professional again at some stage.
If the studio's functional, that is.
Get ready to swear, Darth Vader.
Okay, everybody, we'll see you next week. So until we see you next week, thanks for joining us. Thanks for all.
Stay within the track limits, everybody.
We'll see you there. Stay within the track limits.
No way.
Always know your limits. Always know your limits.
Thanks, Brett. Know your limits.
No grass, no go.
That's it.